AMD reporting a strong, no, super strong quarter, sending shares much higher. Of course, when it was first announced, the stock was actually down. A lot of this is around AI adoption. We're also going to have to PC. CEO Lisa Su joins us now, first on CNBC, to discuss the quarter. Hey, Lisa, it's great to see you.
Hey, good morning. It's great to see you guys.
Okay, so Lisa, on page 5 of your conference call, using the fact set, you say something that I think was kind of jaw-dropping. I don't know if people understood that. You said, as a result, we now expect data center GPU, data center, Dave, that's important, okay, that's the AI there, revenue to exceed $4.5 billion, up from $4 billion that you guided in April. You just guided up $500 million in one quarter?
Well, first of all, we had a very strong second quarter. Very excited about the traction that we're seeing. It is all about AI. You know, I know that you guys were talking about AI in the earlier segment. There's no question that AI is like the biggest technology advance over the last 50 years, and we're very excited to be helping power that foundation. So yes, we were able to had a very strong data center quarter. We more than doubled our data center revenue in the second quarter, and we see strong growth into the second half of the year. So part of that is acceleration in our AI growth, and that's what allowed us to increase our guidance from greater than $4 billion 90 days ago to greater than $4.5 billion for the year.
Extraordinary guide up. Now, one of the things that has bothered people ever since the Alphabet call was the notion of like, well, we better build it because they might come, and if not, we're going to fall behind. When I listen to your call, when I listen to you, I feel it's the opposite. I think customers are desperate for compute power, whether it be from you or NVIDIA. They got to have it, which, of course, you're taking share when it comes to some parts. Is it not true that the real issue is can you meet compute demand?
It is absolutely true that compute is really the foundation for what unlocks all of this, AI capability. It is true that the supply chain is very tight right now, and frankly, people need more compute. We're in a very, very strong position in the sense that we're continuing to ramp up our MI300, which is our AI compute chip. But we also see actually, broader demand trends that say even in traditional compute that had taken, a little bit of a slower start for the year has actually now seen some very positive signals. So we see that on the traditional data center CPU side as well. So overall, when I talk to CEOs and CIOs across the enterprise, I think this is an opportunity to invest. It's an opportunity to invest to really capture, all of the capability of, AI, and it's also an opportunity to refresh, data centers that have been aging for some time. So these are some of the trends that we're excited about going into the second half.
So, Lisa, maybe because you're a plain-spoken person like my friend David Faber, both from Queens, I might add. Can you please explain to people that even though AI is not necessarily curing cancer or putting a man on Jupiter right now, it is integral to many of the organizations that you deal with and talk to every day?
Absolutely. First of all, it's great to see David and Carl as well. When I look at AI, I really look at AI as trying to really help every enterprise, every company, every sector really become more productive. And we see it in many different ways. From simple things, you'll hear people talk about call centers and customer response, and I call those very low-hanging fruit, to much more complex things like designing better chips. That's something that we do and our semiconductor peers do, or designing better factories, or actually even helping discover the next big drug discoveries and the healthcare things that you mentioned. I do think this is a long-term arc, so people are always expecting things that happen overnight. This won't happen overnight, but the time to invest is now, so that we see the payoff in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year time frame, and that's what companies are doing because we see the huge potential for using AI in all of our businesses.
Lisa, it is David. Back to the M1300 and the guide to $4.5 billion that Jim pointed out that I think is being embraced by investors. I've had a couple this morning actually ask why it isn't even higher. Given if you annualize the quarter and you add in a growth rate, it would seemingly get you perhaps as high as $5 billion. Are you being conservative?
Well, David, the way we look at these things is, we call it like it is today. And what we see is it was very important when we started the year to pass some important customer milestones. We have some great partnerships out there. We've talked about Microsoft being a very strong partner for us across the data center and especially in AI. We've talked about Meta. We've talked about Oracle. We've talked about a lot of the OEM partners as well that have adopted MI300. And we wanted to go through some of the key milestones. So the fact that we're sitting here at the middle of the year and calling over 4.5 billion for the full year, I think is a great place to be, thinking about just where we are in this trajectory, and we'll continue to call it like it is as we see every quarter.
This came up, something about a high bandwidth memory problem that had you losing some yield. It was not you, it was related to a supplier. Was that an issue that's been resolved, or is there anything you can comment on or clarify?
David, I would say that there's a lot of noise in the system, and I would really not pay attention to those kinds of things. These are extremely complex products. I mean, MI300 is like over 150 billion transistors. Of course, we're always working things real time, but as far as, we look at this is a very, very successful production ramp. We're very excited. We're seeing MI300 now in our customers' data centers in volume, running production traffic, giving great results, and that's what gives us the confidence for the growth trajectory in the second half of the year.
Hey, Lisa, you might have heard me and Jim talking about PCs a moment ago. Where are you right now in terms of whether or not AI-empowered PCs will drive consumer demand?
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. I'm bullish on AI PCs. I view AI PCs as really a category changer for the PC market, where we see an opportunity not just to do the things that we normally do with PCs, like gaming as well as enterprise productivity type applications, but AI will give us yet another capability with the PC that allows us to do things locally. And a lot of people actually, although we like working in the cloud, there is some latency involved with that, and the idea that you can do things on your PC with your personal data, I think, is a positive. Now, again, the way to think about this is we're very excited about AI PCs. We just launched a bunch over the weekend. It will take some time to go fully through the PC ecosystem, so I see second half as a positive for PCs, and then as we go into 2025, even more excitement around AI PCs.
All right, Lisa, let's talk share, both high end when it comes to what I would regard as being accelerated computing, and also lower end that we just talked about with PC. I see, you can tell me if I'm wrong, that there's so much business that I'm not concerned about you and NVIDIA. I think that everybody is completely overwhelmed when it comes to compute power, both you and NVIDIA. On the lower end, when Intel was at 5, when you were at 5 and Intel was at 40, you schooled me in a way that made me think that one day you'll be at 40 and Intel would be at 5. The latter hasn't happened yet. But are you taking a lot of share from Intel on the lower end, and you're taking whatever you can do to meet the demand on the high end?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to think about it, Jim, is, I think about computing as end-to-end compute. You need the most powerful stuff, in the cloud, and we certainly, love the work that we do with all of the hyperscalers. And you also need the right compute at the edge and in the client. And we have an end-to-end computing portfolio that allows us to really service all those needs. Certainly, I'm very excited about the market. We called the AI market last year at upwards of 400 billion over the next 5 years, and we see that. We see that there is just tremendous need for more compute for high-end AI, but we also see need for compute across the edge as well as the client. So these are all great opportunities. Yes, I love the large market. I also love the fact that I think we have a very competitive product portfolio, which gives us the opportunity to gain share.
We have seen a pullback in some of the hyperscalers lately in the stock market, in part because of this continuing question, Lisa, as to whether all of this enormous spend will actually get a significant return on what's being invested. And the worry is at some point you hit a wall and the spending slows. So how do you think about that from the larger perspective?
I will say, David, from the conversations that I have with our customer set and sort of the broader industry, we can see that AI is a multi-year, I would call it a super cycle, frankly. There's tremendous need for more compute. Now, how it goes on a quarter-by-quarter basis, obviously you guys are hypersensitive to a percent here or there. I wouldn't be hypersensitive in those areas. I would say Are more customers using it? Is every enterprise asking for it? Are we seeing more applications on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? The answer to that is absolutely yes. Everywhere I go, everybody wants to talk about how can we incorporate AI into our businesses faster and more efficiently, and we're all learning along the way. So that's the beauty of technology this early in the cycle. There's a lot of learning and experimentation, but definitely there will be the return on the investment on the other side of it.
Okay, so we know that Jensen Huang says the internal investment CEO of NVIDIA is almost instant. I believe that you would say that an employee may be doubly as productive with AI, and yet we still don't hear from any executive. You know what? We have AI, and we've been able to trim staff. We've been able to become much more productive, and we've been able to boost earnings per share. When will an executive come on and say, listen, our numbers are going higher because of AI?
I believe that you will see overall AI will increase productivity, will help us get more productive, and most importantly, help us get better products out faster. So I think all of that is there. Now, I don't believe that things are instantaneous. Technology takes time to adopt. That's just the way technology cycles are. We're investing today for the return in a couple of years, and I think that's absolutely the right thing to do. That is, that's the way we think about these investment cycles. So not quite instantaneous, but they're definitely coming, Jim.
Well, Lisa Su, thank you. And the guide up was amazing, even though, of course, David wanted double the guide up. But we're going to let you have just the guide up as you did, since it's the biggest one I've ever seen from your company. Lisa Su, CEO of AMD, thank you so much.
But I think we're talking, again, as we've said, they missed by inches, but the company's still ahead by miles, as we call it.
What number are you using for full year CapEx? And were you convinced about their argument about the durability of their investments?
CapEx goes to $83 billion, which is effectively the GDP of Luxembourg. For my perplexity search this morning, you think about that number, it's insane. And it's higher than most of the other cloud providers. And as they said on the call, they can't keep up with demand. AI demand is higher than what they can actually provide. And so everyone is saying, well, how do you know this is going to work? And we've said, look at what they did with Windows, look at what they did in gaming, look at what they did with Azure. Nadella and Amy Hood have been so far ahead of this, and everything they've invested in has paid off. And the fact that they actually improved margins in the year of AI tells you they're going to make money. It's incredible what they're able to do on the bottom line in the face of all the spend. And so everyone asks, well, what gives you conviction? The conviction is 25 years of covering Microsoft. Every dollar they put in, they've gotten a lot more out. So I think this will be the same. Again, it's really early. We're like mile one of the marathon, and it's hard to see. But based on their track record, all roads lead back to this is going to pay off.
Well, yeah, NVIDIA shares are showing at least a result of that CapEx number as well, up over 10.5% right now. Brent, what does it mean for the rest of your coverage universe when you see Microsoft spending this kind of money, and you're a believer, obviously, that they will see a significant return and generate great margins on it as well?
As a software analyst, I've said this, I want to be a semi and internet analyst right now. Software is not the place to be, because when you have CapEx numbers going up another $10 billion plus on top of our forecast, it's going into AMD, it's going into NVIDIA, it's going into ANET and Arista for networking. It's still going into AI infrastructure. As we've said, the foundation of this house has to be built. The plumbing, all the concrete, the wood, that is not our vendors. All the software vendors are like the artwork. They get hung at the end of this. So we're admitting that software is the tail end of this. It is not going to be the first place that monetizes. So it's not great for software short term. I think over time it will be good. And it's more of a 25-26 event. So as I've said, software and the rest of tech are going to lead the way. Software is going to lag, but it should be good as we go into 25-26. And valuations aren't crazy. Multiples have been reset. And so we don't think, again, the backdrop of demand is coming, but investors have to be patient in the software industry.
All right, let's recap what's happened over the last 24 hours or so with NVIDIA, AMD, and Microsoft. Keep in mind that Microsoft is NVIDIA's largest customer. Yesterday, Microsoft reported earnings, and the stock got hit hard initially and after hours trading, pulling NVIDIA down with it. Microsoft actually beat on revenue and EPS, but they had a slight, and I emphasize slight, miss on consensus estimates for Azure and cloud services revenue and intelligent cloud revenue. I think Brent put it best in the clip you just watched. Microsoft is ahead by miles, they just missed by inches. In reality, Microsoft saw substantial growth in revenue from AI and cloud services this quarter. Shortly after Microsoft reported, AMD reported solid earnings, beating on both revenue and EPS. And what really sent the stock higher is that they upped their guidance both for revenue and for data center GPU revenue, increasing the latter by more than 10%. As AMD rallied in after hours, it provided some relief to NVIDIA stock. And then we got Microsoft's earnings conference call. I was very pleased with Microsoft's earnings call. It was very good for both Microsoft and NVIDIA. Microsoft said they are seeing accelerating demand for AI services, and they intend to increase CapEx as needed in order to meet that growing demand. Remember that Microsoft is NVIDIA's largest customer, and greater CapEx means more money going to NVIDIA. I loved what Microsoft's CEO said. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially he said that they will only increase CapEx spending as they see increased demand. And well, they are increasing CapEx spending by about $10 billion, which means they are definitely seeing demand. They are seeing demand that is both massive and accelerating. This is very good news for NVIDIA. You may remember Alphabet's earnings report recently and how semiconductor stocks like NVIDIA pulled back hard following that earnings report. Why did this happen? Well, Alphabet did indicate that they intend to invest in AI, but they essentially said that they were investing into AI just in case so that they can meet demand in the future if, keyword if, they see demand in the future. Market participants did not like that because they are wondering if or when these companies will see a return on their massive investments into AI infrastructure. And that's where Microsoft comes in. Microsoft said something completely different from what Alphabet said. Microsoft said that they are seeing demand. They are seeing a return on their investments into AI, and they are increasing their CapEx spending on building out AI infrastructure. That's why early in today's trading session, much of the market was trading higher. Market participants were so anxious going into these mega cap tech earnings because they were worried that these companies would not be seeing a substantial return yet on their AI investments, and they were worried about demand for AI services. Microsoft basically came out and said, yeah, we're seeing massive demand. We're seeing a return on our investments, and we're going to increase our investments into AI infrastructure in order to meet that demand. This caused the entire market to breathe a sigh of relief because Microsoft is now a shining example of a mega cap tech company that is both investing into AI and seeing a substantial return on that investment. I am very bullish on the long-term future of both NVIDIA and AMD. In the short term, I'm expecting volatility because there is still a lot happening this week. Of course, we have the market's reaction to FOMC in the days following today. We have Meta earnings today after market close. And then we have Amazon, Apple, and Intel all reporting earnings on Thursday. So this week is not over yet. Be careful out there because the market could change rapidly one way or the other. As for FOMC, I was very excited to hear Powell teeing up for a potential rate cut in September as I listened to the question and answer portion of the FOMC press conference. We got bullish after bullish after bullish comment from Powell, so that is very encouraging for the markets as a whole. So for now, I am very happy with both Microsoft and AMD's earnings and their forward-looking guidance, and I'm happy with FOMC today. Now let's see how the market reacts following the remainder of the mega cap tech earnings this week. If the market reacts positively to those earnings reports after the news we got from Microsoft, AMD, and FOMC, then I think a pre-anticipatory run-up in NVIDIA in August leading up to earnings is more probable than not. With all of that being said, I hope you're all having a great day, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.